Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Pacers Daily. I'm your host, Hery Acosta. Shout out to Underdog Fantasy for sponsoring this video. Let's hop straight into it and talk about the game that just played out. Pacers have just lost. We're back to the losing column against Toronto Raptors 115 to 101 in what was a game that started off honestly just looking like a blowout. It was 39 to 18 after the first quarter. Throughout the game, though, Pacers started picking it up, started playing better, but we shot 38% from the field. We shot 29% from three and 74% from the free throw line. You're not going to win with those numbers. Absolutely not, especially when the other team is shooting almost 50%, 36% from three. Their free throw shooting was awful. They were 65%. But 61 rebounds to 55, that's a lot of rebounds just in general because both teams were missing so much. We actually missed 53 shots. That's pretty funny. I'm not gonna. That's pretty funny. Um, Obviously, I'm just saying it's funny because like, what else can you do just besides laugh at the fact that we actually shot that bad? But I mean, we've done worse, but we've also shot way better. Offensive rebounds, we actually cleared the glass a little better than them. Less assists, more steals, more blocks, one less turnover. Once again, can we get some points in the paint? That'd be great. I don't remember the last time I talked about this team and we had actually won the points in the paint battle. This time was 48 to 34 of them. They had more points off turnovers, 20 to 5 on the fast break points for them. Their biggest lead was 27. Ours was 0. A lot of fouls in this game, too. This is a lot different than the Boston game. There was a total of 44 fouls in this game. But the main story of this game was the fact that there were 5 players between both teams that had double-doubles. Scotty Barnes had 26 and 13. Murray Boyles had 10 and 10. And Grady Dick had 21 and 11. And on the Pacers, Siakam and Furphy both had double-doubles, 10 and 10 for Furphy. His first career double-double. Siakam had 26 and 10. Outside of Siakam, the team just looked a little depleted. 10 points for Furphy, obviously, 14 for Nembhard, 11 for Walker, 14 for Jackson. McConnell had 8 off the bench. But one shooting performance I want to talk about, which was very interesting, was Aaron Nesmith had 6 points, 1 for 12 shooting. Funny enough, that would have been a couple days ago. So he almost shot the actual date of the game of the day he played on. 0 for 8 from 3. I like the Kobe mentality. I like the Jordan mentality. I mean, you'd rather go 0 for 30 than 0 for 9 because that means you stop trying. But at some point, you got to realize it's not your day. Spread the ball out a little bit more. So not a lot of times you really want to see one of your best players going 0 for 8 from 3, especially one that went 8 for 9 in an Eastern Conference Finals game to pretty much help your team win that game after being down by 15 points. But I'm not really mad about it. I like the effort. I love the effort that this team is showing every night. I love that players are feeling more confident. But once Halliburton's back, once we get a new draft pick, everything's going to change. We got to actually play basketball the right way. We can't all just keep chucking up shots. Because even Siakam, he was 10 for 23. His 3-point percentage was 4 of 11, which is 36%. So there's a lot to take from this game. But before I talk more about it, fast breaks, buzzer beaters, and block parties are back, and Underdog is the best place to get in all the action. Playing on Underdog is easy. Just pick whether your favorite players are going to go higher or lower on stats like points, rebounds, steals, and more. Get your picks right, and you can win up to 5,000 times your cash. Today, I'm actually going to talk about Kawhi Leonard and James Harden, who are going to go up against the Wizards. Both of their projections are set at 27.5 points. I'm going to go lower for both just for the specific reason that I feel like they're going to actually have a really good game against Washington, and neither of them are going to really be needed in the fourth quarter. If I did have to pick one of them to go higher, I'm going to go with James Harden. Now, that's just based off of recent games and seeing how everything. There was a stretch where Kawhi had his career high, and then he had 40 points, 33. There was a time that 55-point game was absurd. But I just feel like it's one of those games where they're both going to play good. They're both going to end up with 24, 25 points, and then they're going to sit out because they took a good lead. Now, I might be putting a little bit too much on the Clippers, but I genuinely do think they can win this game. But download the app today and use promo code BasketballFan to score $75 in bonus entries when you play your first $5. Once again, that is code BasketballFan for $75 in bonus entries. Underdog, make picks, and win money. But it's that time of the week where I'm going to talk about our boy, Pascal Siakam, and his projections. Now, if we look at his recent games, one stands out, and that's the Miami game. That's actually the game where I was hoping to predict. I'm not going to lie to everybody. I did not think we were going to steamroll Miami the way we did. I genuinely thought either that game would have been more close or we were going to be the ones to get steamrolled. But during the game, we knew that the Pacers were actually going to win this one. They were just playing a heck of a lot better. Siakam didn't have to do much, but he was 4 for 15 from the field during that game. 11 points, 7 rebounds, 5 assists. Then he had a bounce back game against Boston where he had that game winner. And I did talk about last episode how last 2-minute report, had that as a moving screen, whatever. But overall, we look at his Charlotte game, which the last time I did this segment, we mentioned the Charlotte game because that was the last game he had played. 30 points, 14 rebounds, 3 assists. He is now coming off another double-double. During his next game, he's going to be against the Pelicans. I think this is a game where he could grab a good amount of rebounds, especially with Jay Huff not really being a rebounding factor and Siakam being the leading rebounder on the roster. Currently averaging around 7 a game. Let's say his projection is 7.5. He's going to go higher for that. Now, the points are always a hit or miss with Siakam because, yes, look, 26, 21, 30, and 22. 4 games where he was either the lead scorer or the second leading scorer. Against Miami, he was the 5th leading scorer because Nembhard had that crazy 29-point game. Nesmith, McConnell all had more points than Siakam. He's gonna have a good game against the Pelicans. Pelicans are the worst team in the West. We're the worst team in the East. So this is actually going to be an entertaining game to watch. I would go lower on his assist because I think he's going to want to score more against the worst team. I think he's going to want to have a Charlotte type game or a Cleveland type game. Cleveland was playing a little undermanned. He's going to want to be the leading scorer. So his points, whatever the projection is set at, I will go higher. His assist, I will go lower. I think Nembhard will take over a lot of the passing and McConnell off the bench. But, I mean, his stat lines are ridiculous. That 30 and 14, pretty wild. I just don't see him having a Miami-type game. Especially because who knows what the Pacers are actually going to come out shooting lights out or if they're going to come out the way they did against Toronto. But those are my predictions for that. Now, back to this. The Raptors had some big time performances, especially a bench one from Grady Dick. 21 points and 11 rebounds. That's huge, especially because he's a shooting guard, so a small forward. And he's, not even that tall. He's 6'7". He's not a guy that grabs 10 boards a game. I mean, this is actually his first double-double as well. 2 players in this game had their first career double-doubles because Murray Boyles is actually his 3rd because he had one against Miami back in December, one against Philadelphia only a few days ago, actually. But big time game from a lot of Raptors players. Double-double for Scotty Barnes, nothing new to him. But 13 assists for Scotty. He has been balling as a playmaker recently. Ingram had 30 points. He's a scorer. What else can he do? And then 10 points for Agbaji off the bench. And some decent performances for Jamison Battle and Jamal Shed. Didn't really have to play too much. Also, just quick update. Bryce Sensabaugh just had 43 points off the bench for the Utah Jazz. That is absolutely ridiculous. He had 21 in the first quarter, and it looked like he was gonna have a random Malachi Flynn 50-point game. That's ball knowledge if anyone remembers that Malachi Flynn 50-point Piston game. But 43 points for Bryce Sensabaugh. I know it's a way off topic, but that is a crazy performance. Also on the other side, Vucevic had 35, which he's also not a person that's been dropping 30 bombs either. So two very random 30-point games in the Utah-Chicago game. Now, obviously, Sensabaugh is a lot more random because he is a bench player. He came into this game averaging 10.1 points per game. And besides this game, 26 against Charlotte was actually his other only big performance. He had some big ones in the preseason, but a 26-point game, few 20-point games, but then just out of nowhere, random 43-point game. Yeah, that's pretty nuts to me. That is a crazy game. So congrats to Bryce for that one. But now I want to go back to I want to talk about the centers again because I mentioned wanting the centers to play better, and they're just not. Jay Huff once again had a lackluster performance after having a good game. That's the kind of stuff we used to see with Miles Turner that I did not want to see with Jay Huff. I did not want to see with Isaiah Jackson. I didn't even know we were going to have Micah Potter, and I didn't even know if Tony Bradley was going to make the roster. But you could see it with Bradley because he's going to probably get another 10-day contract somewhere, but he's just not going to be on this team after this, maybe even after this next week. But let me show you some stats real quick. Jay Huff had 7 points and 4 rebounds in 15 minutes. Tony Bradley had 2 points and 4 rebounds. 2 points and 4 rebounds. And how many minutes did he play? 19 minutes. He had the most minutes of any center on the roster today. Micah Potter played 7 minutes, had a rebound. So let's put all of our centers together, including minutes, to see what their stat lines were. So Huff had 15, Bradley had 19, that's 34 minutes, plus 7. So 41 minutes for pure centers. A total of 9 points and 8 rebounds. Well, 9 points, 9 rebounds, 0 assists. 9 points, 9 rebounds in 41 minutes. Now, that's not a horrible stat line if you played 19 minutes as a center. But if you put them all together at 41 minutes, that is pretty crazy to think about. Because especially when they don't play at the same time. But I just want to see more consistency from our centers. But as always, huge shout out to Underdog Fantasy for sponsoring this video. I'm Hery Acosta. This is Pacers Daily. Boom, baby. And go, Sirs.